We said, let's start again. Good evening and a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Just a little context for today's talk. It's the strength in reaching out. As some of you might be aware, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And, across the world, there has been an increase in mental health. Like I'm saying, across the world, across the globe. And so within the BK community as well, we just feel it's something that can be supportive. Meditation can be something that is supportive. Sometimes it can't be supportive, it just throws things off. So for this month, we're really going to be looking at different aspects and how can we care for ourselves? How can we care for others? How can we open up our hearts to reach out a hand sometimes? And sometimes the signs are not always visible, but if I can tune in, then maybe I can pick up even for my own self. And so it's with that context of these month's talks, because they might be a little bit different to our usual topics, but I thought I'd just put in a bit of context. And so I'd like to start us off. You heard the meditation. I thought it was a lovely meditation. I didn't want to come out of it, just staying in that place of kind of a thing. And I think sometimes we don't have enough of those moments where we can just breathe. Sometimes I just need to breathe, and even a simple thing like that, we don't take time out and we don't always acknowledge the importance of it. So before we get into today's theme and topic and exploring this idea, I just want to put forth two questions for you to reflect on, because it is about self. We always bring things back to self. So simple reflections, just spend a few minutes thinking about it for yourself, and just be open and honest, and see what comes up. Sometimes things come up and we're like, no, not really. But if you feel strongly about it, then just go with that. So two things. Think about, when was the last time you needed support but found it hard to ask? It can be any kind of support. It doesn't have to be major, big things, but any kind of support, emotional, physical, mental, whatever it is. So think about, when was the last time you needed support but found it hard to ask? And then just think about what thoughts or feelings stopped you from asking for help. Some examples could be, was it pride? Was it fear maybe? Was it a feeling that I have to do it by myself or something? What was the thoughts and the feelings that perhaps didn't allow you to reach out in that way and ask for help? So I'll give you a few minutes to just reflect. There might be a few situations, but think of one where it comes out for you. So you can think about it. If you want to jot it down, that's also fine. Hello, welcome. We're just doing a short reflection. So just to think about, when was the last time you needed support but found it hard to ask? And what thought or feeling stopped you? So it could have been pride, fear, or the thought that I need to do it by myself, or I need to cope by myself. So just an invitation to think a little bit for yourself. Okay. Good. Need more time? You all look very serious now. Did it take you to a place where maybe a little bit of a difficult memory that had to emerge? If you feel comfortable and are okay to share, is there anything specific that might have jumped at you or like, oh, okay, a little light bulb moment? Yes.
I think the person who I would have turned to was going through such a lot of stuff of her own. I couldn't.
Like it pose.
Yeah.
Right. So someone is sharing that the person she wanted to reach out to was going through so much of her own stuff that she didn't feel she could impose or bring your thing into that. Yeah. So it's almost like, how can I add to someone else's pain or burden or challenge? Yeah. Anyone else? I find for myself a similar thing, maybe not so much, but I don't want to inconvenience you with my story. Yes, so there's a few nods here where, yeah,
Going to worry someone.
you're going to worry someone unnecessarily.
So we call that pride, because, for instance, you're not used to asking. You
Yeah,
always do things by yourself.
yeah,
And now you realize that you need to rely on somebody else to do this for you, to help you to achieve this, to help you do this.
that's it.
And you just don't have the guts.
The guts. It's true. So there's,
And then it is so strange when you do, because I had that experience now in August. It was my great-granddaughter's baptism.
yeah,
And my son-in-law couldn't take my daughter and myself to a monastery
to be there for
to
the,
be there.
yeah,
And they so much wanted us to be there. And can I ask, because my grandson couldn't take us because he must also be at church for things. He could only take us the afternoon, which means it would be like
inconvenience.
a wasted,
Yeah,
half-wasted trip, because he
right.
couldn't go to church.
Also,
And then eventually I asked a friend of my late daughter,
yeah,
and he came through for us. And for me, it was so amazing, because I didn't want to, because I felt like I'm not used to asking favors.
So there's just a little conversation kind of discussion happening here. But why is it then that we sometimes feel that we can't ask? And the question was it pride? And then Bernice was just sharing a recent incident with herself where she asked someone, they couldn't take her to where she needed to go. And so this almost internal conversation or conflict of who can I ask? And eventually someone did. But this whole inner dialogue, and one of the things you'll find is your mind starts racing about all sorts of things. But we're going to get to that just now. Swazi's saying a week ago, the reason that stopped or was for asking was for the fear of being judged as weak. Yeah, yeah. I felt like I was taking advantage of the person. Someone else didn't want to trouble our children who were so busy with their own lives, didn't want to burden them with my own issues. So that's similar as well. Not being used to asking really resonates with me. So that's also, I don't feel comfortable to ask. I didn't think my chommies, I like that. I didn't think my chommies would care about my problems because we all got our problems. And then someone saying when his dad passed away, he needed support, but felt that if I tell people that I need emotional support, they are going to think that I'm weak. So I bottled the pain inside. I think we all can relate to elements of all of these, isn't it? But you know, as you reflect and as you look at your own life and those around you, when someone's going through something, what comes in your mind? What's the emotions that come up or the feelings? You want to help. Anyone here feels you deal with it yourself? No. So there's a natural tendency within us which makes us human, which is this aspect of I want to help, I want to lend a helping hand. So if everyone in this room said very confidently and, very firmly that we want to help, surely the rest of the world feels the same way, isn't it? No, at least 98%, if 100% in this room, then if we have to use mathematics, reason would say many people would be willing to help or would want to.
A lot of people don't know how to listen,
Yeah.
and they will try and solve things.
Mm.
That's not what you need. You actually just need to be heard.
That's it. So we don't know how to help people. So there might be the intention and the wanting to reach out, but we create our own thoughts sometimes. And that can become a block because it's true, we're not listening to what the need is at that time, but we're putting in our own interpretation and what's needed. So that's definitely one element that comes into place. So someone's just confirming or reaffirming we want to give a helping hand. So one is helping others, but the other one is, can I ask for help, which is harder. And I think it's true, this aspect of being perceived or seen as weak is quite a deep thing, because we've been told and taught, especially men, you have to be strong. You can't show weakness because you'll be taken advantage of, right? This sounds familiar sometimes. But if we just take a step back and think about, why is it that when I'm true to myself, it's seen as a weakness? Because acknowledging that I need help is not weakness, it's courage. It's a big, big step of courage. You think? It is, because it takes a lot. And it means I have to go past the layers of beliefs that I've created, the layers of stuff that has been perhaps projected and to some extent I've imposed on myself. And these are what has created the kind of stigmas that we find around some of the issues that we face. So definitely it's not easy to reach out for someone, because then also sometimes the thought is, and I don't know if this is true, but let's just explore this a little bit. They will expect something in return at some point. So a feeling of obligation sometimes, not always, but in the back of my mind. And I don't want to be obligated to anyone. Yes, because within ourselves, one of the things we value a lot is freedom. Yeah. And we sometimes, to our detriment, are fiercely independent. Does that make sense? It's good to be independent. It's very good to be independent. It means self-sufficient. I can rely on myself. But when I'm too independent, I isolate myself. So not physically, I might be with the party and the people and the crowds and everything, but I keep myself closed. So I don't allow my best self to come forward, but I also then don't allow another's energy, even if it's in support, to be able to draw on that and take that. So it's not an easy place to navigate, but it's something that I think you'll agree is becoming more and more needed in the world. We've become so absorbed in our devices, in our communication through our devices. I don't think you can call it communication, that we forget to be humans. You know, you're speaking to a persona when you're on the phone, right? You don't know, actually. And that also contributes towards this resistance to saying, hey, this is what's happening. This is what I'm struggling with, because everyone you know is living their best life, isn't it? All the pictures, all the traveling, all the thumbs up and whatever it is, it's bombardment all the time. And unfortunately, when we are exposed constantly to those kind of images and communication, it starts to create thoughts in my own mind. And then the seed of doubt is planted. You know, I might be okay and I'm fine with the way things are. And I get bombarded by all of this. A thought will come. Is there something wrong with me sometimes? Or how come I don't have that? No, and so then that becomes a seed that then starts gnawing away on some level. And then we compare, obviously, and you know the worst thing we can do is compare ourselves. So on one hand, to try and protect myself, let me be more consciously aware of how I'm being influenced and affected. And I want to protect myself, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. So being conscious of that. But at the same time, we do go through difficulties. Yeah, on a day-to-day basis. Something's happening, whether it's someone else that we know or maybe it's ourselves, something we're going through. So it's not like we can negate the reality in terms of what we expose to and what we experience. So there are moments when I will feel a little weak. I will feel not 100%. And then it's okay. It really is okay. Obviously, it needs more than just telling myself it's okay. But the first step is acknowledging I'm not doing so well. It doesn't mean I'm weak. It doesn't mean I'm not together. It just means I'm going through a time in my life when I'm a little bit at a lower energy. And why it's important to not get caught up in that story, because once I get that negative train of thinking that might emerge, I start to retreat. And then I isolate myself. And then it becomes even more difficult to reach out. I know, if someone's going through something, I find it sometimes difficult to read minds. Well, I don't know how to read minds, but sometimes I would appreciate if they would just tell me, I need my space, or can you do this for me? I need help here, because then I don't have to try and figure out what's needed, and I can support them in the best way that they need that support. And if they don't, and if they say, I really don't know what to do here, it's like giving permission for me to explore a little bit further. Think about you meet someone and they genuinely ask you, how are you feeling today? How does that make you feel? Like, not just how you, like genuinely, how are you feeling today? You never experienced that. No,
But they want to know.
they don't want to
Wow.
know because they're so busy with their own things. But maybe I can want to know about the welfare of others. And I think that's important, because sometimes we can just gloss over everything. We all got our issues. We all got our problems. It's true. We surely we can help and support each other. But you know, if okay, let's say this never happened, so you never have this experience. Someone really genuinely just asking, how are you really doing? If you were going through something and someone asked you with that kind of concern, how would you feel? It's a hard one.
Depends.
It depends.
Might feel supported, or you might think they're being inquisitive.
You might feel supported, or you might think they're being inquisitive. And much of that, to some extent, is dependent on what
Mm.
I
Going
feel.
on.
So if I feel I need to do this on my own, then I will perceive it as you being so inquisitive, mind your own business. And what do? I'm sorry, I'm being a bit blunt in this way. But you know, and then you like, do that. So one thing is my inner space also then influences what comes at me and how I receive what might come or what might not come my way. Does that make sense? So it's a two-way thing. One is my ability to reach out, but my ability to open as well and allow others to step in, which is sometimes hard as well, you know, because in that moment, you put yourself in a place of vulnerability. And again, we associate vulnerability with weakness, which is not true. Vulnerable just means I'm open in that moment to experience what I'm feeling. And that takes strength, it takes courage, it takes a whole lot of humility, you know, and trust as well. And first and foremost in myself, you know, which is also another hard thing. The things I'm talking is all hard things, I'm sure. But it's this ability that when I acknowledge and accept this is where I'm at, I automatically open myself. And then I can start taking the steps that I need. And it's not always easy, but you know, when you feel someone's got your back, no matter what, it gives you the impetus to kind of manage. And the reality is we all going through things, just different degrees, different circumstances, but everyone's going through challenges, whether it's at home, whether it's with extended family, financial struggles, you know, dealing with the loss of someone. Just hearing the news sometimes can be very depressing, and one can get despondent and feeling of hopelessness. So all of these are contributing to my state of well-being, you know. So it's acknowledging all of this and then, you know, like telling myself, okay, this is where I'm at. Now, how can I navigate it? So when we talk about this idea of reaching out, I think of it as two dimensions. There's the inner, which we always come to at the Brahma Kumaris first, and then there's the outer reaching out. So then how do I create a feeling of when you reach out to someone, you connecting, isn't it? Reaching out is like a symbol of connecting. So what do I connect with for myself? What do I reach out, or who do I reach out to myself, for myself, so that there's a feeling of connection and not being disconnected? So one of the things that happens when we going through a challenge or difficulty, we might feel broken, you know, something missing, not a great feeling, but a feeling of brokenness. And if I'm coming from that place, then it does take longer to heal myself almost. But inevitably, at some point, we'll all go through something like that. But if I can create a relationship with myself based on love, of compassion, of gentleness, of acceptance, not when things are going a bit wonky, but when I am generally in a state of well-being, because those moments come and then hopefully they do pass. Then if I can build a reservoir within myself, I can tap into that. And what that does, it doesn't mean I don't need help, external help, but what it does, it gives me a footing to come from a place of just a little bit of a better step up. Does that make sense? One of the other places is not a place, that really can be a support is with the divine, supreme, higher being, whatever it is. Because we're sometimes when we're going through something, all we need is love, or maybe just being listened to, not being told this is what you have to do, that's what you have to do, all the things. But even just don't say anything. Just knowing you there is also sometimes supporting, right? Just feeling the presence of someone who cares. So when we think of connection with divine, then I'm connecting to source itself, which encompasses everything that I need. But because it's not a physical presence, sometimes we don't feel supported with that energy because it's so subtle. And so cultivating and building a relationship where I really feel I can tap into that beautiful, powerful source unconditionally at any given moment in time gives me something that I can latch on to. And that in itself is a great support because it just helps me to see, yes, I'm going through something, but I'm not broken. Because when we bring in spiritual understanding of soul, and again, it's difficult to bring in these concepts when I'm going through a bit of difficulty. So when I'm okay, can I deepen these things? But when I can create that context and experience, then I feel a sense of my value and my worth. And I can hold perspective sometimes, not all the time. But if it's this idea to some extent, also to accept this is where I'm at, but I do have support. And then what is it that I need to do, perhaps practically, physically, externally? Where can I draw from? Does that kind of make sense? It's not easy, I know. But we have to kind of start somewhere, I don't know if you've ever found you might be, especially at workshops or something, sometimes when you have little group conversations or breakout rooms, perhaps if it's online. I know many people don't like breakout rooms, but you end up being in a group and sometimes it's like a synergy. You found that? And people in your group might be sharing similar things. And you feel like, wow, we seem to be having same thoughts and going through similar experiences. And how does that make you feel then?
That you're not the only
That
one.
you're not the only one, isn't it? And a little bit of, okay, I'm normal. I'm okay. It's okay, I don't have to, and everyone's going, but there's a feeling of support. I might not have shared my whole life story and I wouldn't have even complained. It's just in a conversation or a little discussion, you get the sense of, yeah, no, we all, and there's a feeling then of, you might share, you know, this is what I do, and someone else will say something. And so very organically, we kind of support each other without knowing it, very naturally. But with certain things like mental health, there's a stigma and a certain perception. There's something wrong with you. And when that happens, then people want to distance themselves, which is a little silly in a way. I'm putting it mildly. But it stems from fear because there isn't full understanding of the thing. So if I want to help someone, maybe I can learn a little bit more. I was on a call this past week, and one of the BK sisters, she's a doctor, and she's one of our consultants within the BK community on things around mental health, because we're also finding it's increasing, you know. And so how do we help each other and support each other? And so she was sharing some very practical things. You know, she was sharing, yes, it's important to get help, go for the tests, you know, blood tests can pick up if you need to do medication, all of that, it's all fine, just so you can manage. And just talking how sometimes it's a chemical imbalance. I don't know the details, but something she shared, and I thought, oh, I never thought of something. She said, if you're prone to sadness or feeling a bit down, she said, cut out sugar from your diet. I didn't know this. See how oblivious I am. But just some of the things that she shared was simple to do things, and how you can create for yourself. So taking care of yourself in that way. You can find ways. Sometimes it does just require going to the doctor and checking yourself out, because this can play havoc sometimes. And if I can stem that, that's already a big thing in helping me to move kind of into a space where I feel better. But equally so, then, if I can help others to see, maybe, did you try this? Did you try that? And then, well, it's up to them to some extent, but I can still support in helping them. But when I do come from that place, I have to, what's the word? Suspend what I feel. So it's what you were saying, you know, what I feel is right and wrong, because we all know what we need at times. Sometimes we might not know. So that's when the humility comes in, you know, to also listen, for me to be heard, but also for me to listen. It goes both ways, whether I'm the one reaching out to someone or whether someone else is reaching out to me. And it really is, you know, we talk about it's a world family and all of these wonderful thoughts, but we don't really connect on that level, you know. And so when I begin to care for another the way I care about someone close to me, then maybe we can start shifting these dynamics. You know, I think of how whenever there was change in the world, in whatever form, there was always a time of resistance, you know, anything, any big change. And then after a while, things become normal, whatever normal might be. I don't know how normal is today. So sometimes things take time. Sometimes we don't have too much time. We have to speed up, not out of force or have to, but a sense of what's important now and how can I contribute towards something that's important now, whether it's for myself or for another. So I think it's really about bringing back just humanity within ourselves And when I come from a place of wholeness, it's easier to reach out. If I'm feeling broken and empty myself, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And so, can I find ways that I can keep myself supported, but indirectly, it gives others permission to do that for themselves. Sometimes we don't realize how we are quietly strong. But because we don't see outward confirmations, perhaps, we don't trust that enough. I really strongly believe in, here someone saying, in good wishes, pure feelings on a vibrational level. She's saying by sending vibration of love and peace, I get the answer to my issues. I get help from my family and friends. But the power of my mind is quite powerful. And so sometimes I know we might physically not be able to do something. It's important to be able to do something if I can. But physically, if I can't, I find if I just sit quietly and connect with whoever, vibrationally on a soul to soul level, I'm convinced that that can be felt by someone. I've been on the receiving end of receiving very, not tangible, but just feeling supported on a vibrational level in times when I've gone through some difficulties. And so that's been a beautiful reminder for me that in reaching out, if I can't physically do something because practically it's not possible, can I still support through the power of my mind? And sometimes it can just be a few words, even a phone call, even just a little message, maybe. I've been thinking about you. I know now if I get an inkling, like someone will come to my mind, maybe I haven't thought about them or something. And if they come once or twice, then now I'm becoming more respondent to that. So I'll just drop them a message of, hey, I was thinking of you, how are you doing? And sometimes they're going through something and there's just a sense of, thanks for thinking of me. That's all. Thanks for thinking of me. No, if they want to, they'll say, I'm just going through a little bit of difficulty or whatever. Can you keep me in your meditation or something like that? So it doesn't have to be big, but just showing or making others aware that, hey, I'm here. That's all. Just I'm here sometimes. And then giving them permission to reach out. But same way, let me also, when I need to reach out, let me suspend all those thoughts that we have of, I don't want to impose, I don't want to put you out, I don't want to be seen as weak, I don't want to be seen, all of these kind of negative energies. Because end of the day, I want to be well, isn't it? And I think everyone wants everyone to be well. That would be like a utopian world if we all were well, but we can create it if we all hold a powerful thought and a beautiful intention that just comes from genuine care and love and compassion for humanity. So in whatever small way I can step up for another, and in whatever small way I can step down from my ego or this, I said fierce independence sometimes that just works against us. Let me have the wisdom and the humility, and then trust in others. Not always easy. Trust in the universe, trust in your relationship with God, trust in your own capacity, because we've all gone through a lot. We've come out of it okay, relatively. And there is an inner strength that we have. And so sometimes we just need that little bit of extra to help us through whatever it is. I'm going to pause there for a moment. Any thoughts, questions? one of the things that's very lovely is write to yourself. Write lovely letters to yourself every day. I think it's easy. It's cultivate a lovely relationship with yourself, that you start feeling comfortable with whatever that might be. Okay, no questions, comments. So then I'm wondering, can we end off with a meditation? Will that be okay? Okay, so let's just take this moment to just come back to a place of centeredness, of a quiet presence of peace within. I just allow all other thoughts to fade away and just become present to the awareness of this moment as I just breathe into myself and just relax, allowing all tension to melt away, becoming fully present. I quietly step inside. And within myself, I feel a warm, gentle glow of light enveloping me. And within this light, I see the many facets of my nature, my being, my personality, moments, memories where I felt supported, where there was the feeling of care and well-being. So just imagine yourself being enveloped completely in this warm blanket of love, care, compassion. And allow that to settle very gently into your consciousness. And as I do so, it creates a softness inside, a softness that holds inner knowing, that nurtures a quiet strength and resilience, a quiet softness that reaffirms the purity of my spirit. And as this circle of warmth, this blanket of light expands, I just notice friends, family, people seen and unseen that might have supported me in moments. And I recall what that felt like, what it meant for me in those moments. And I just feel my heart swell with gratitude and a deep appreciation. as I just feel held in this wider embrace. There's a feeling of fullness, of greater capacity, of wholeness within in this moment. And so whilst remaining connected to these feelings and this image of being held, I just imagine myself extending a hand, offering this light and care to another. It might not be someone you know, but just extending myself to offer myself to another. And as I reach out, I do not lose anything myself. But there's a beautiful connection, a flow of energy that reaffirms our eternal connection. And in this connection, there's safety, there's a feeling of belonging. And I just allow this to unfold. And so let me create moments within my day, within my own journey, of holding the sense of fullness and just extending myself, even if it's ever so slightly, to another. This is my gift to myself, but also my gift to another. And then very gently, I invite you to just come back to the here and the now. And just hold that feeling and those thoughts, and see today before going to bed, can you stretch out? Might not be physically, to another. Send a good, powerful thought, little positive message, whatever it is. Hey, I'm here. So thank you for joining us this evening. Hope you have a lovely evening and a good weekend, and take care. We will connect next Thursday again. I see someone's just asking if they can contact me. You can send an email to capetown@za.brahmakumaris.org, and yeah, we can connect through that. So capetown@za.brahmakumaris.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nita, dear Nita. It was so blissful. Thank you very much. It's Lakshmi here. Okay.
Yes,
Everybody-
Lakshmi,
Yeah.
we recognize you. Lovely that you
Oh.
joined us.
Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Good night.
Good night. God bless.